Well, good morning. You joined me here in Lone Tree, Colorado, nearby where I live. Today we are on our way down south to Colorado Springs. Last night while trying to decide what I wanted to film in this video today with the car, I decided that, a lot of these family SUVs, a lot of times these are used for taking little road trips, miniature road trips, day trips, and so that's what we're going to do today. Nissan Pathfinder Rock Creek is going to go through the Driving Profit official day trip rundown. Right by the Air Force Academy here, as you kind of enter into Colorado Springs. Got about it's 8 more miles till we exit, but I just saw 2 planes kind of taking off there. Must be practicing. Gosh, I am always so impressed with the views down here. Just, you seem so much closer to the mountains, because I think you are, than in Denver, and it's so much. I like it better down here. Sorry to say, but if I were to live out here long term, it would be probably down here. In the spirit of this continuing to be a sort of day trip, road trip type video, and really testing this car in as many scenarios as possible, keeping with the theme, and we're going to go get some coffee stop. So we're having to walk a little ways. So weirdly enough, I didn't get anything in this glass. I was really hoping for some carbonated water in there. It's still good though. Well, that was good. A little bit disappointed I didn't get my sparkling water. That's the word I'm looking for. And they were a little bit slow too. I am wanting to go back because it seems like they are a well-respected place here and well-known. I actually did sign up for their membership program, so might get some perks next time I'm here. If you clicked on the video, you're probably not coming here wondering what the Rock Creek is. You've probably done enough research already that you know it's Nissan Pathfinder's off-roadified version of this car, of this SUV, this crossover. It seems like every manufacturer is pretty much doing this now with off-roadifying their unibody CUVs or crossovers. You've got so many to choose from. I mean, there's this. If you don't want to go Nissan, there's the new Honda Pilot Trail Sport. Kia has the Telluride SX X Pro. If you want to go German, you can get the VW Atlas Peak Edition. If you want to go American, off-road version of the Traverse, Explorer Timberline, Expedition Timberline. All these, are 3-row SUVs that are mostly all unibody construction, and they've been given, in this one's case, genuine all-terrain tires, a half-inch or so increase in the ground clearance, different wheels that look more off-road-esque. This one has the 220-pound weight limit roof rack on the top. It's kind of more like a roof platform, which is kind of cool looking. Rock Creek embossed in the seats. Center console, center armrest, 3 different places on the outside. So you've got badges everywhere. And the suspension has actually been tuned on this one to be a little bit firmer. On road, so far, my impression is that the stiffer suspension isn't necessarily welcome all the time. On really smooth roads like I'm on right now, this is an extremely recently repaved road, so the asphalt is just sublime. Totally fine. Obviously, you can sort of hear that there's more road noise than a standard Pathfinder. That's expected with the all-terrains. It really doesn't bother me. I'd be curious to see how the tires wear over time, as you build on the miles or pile on the miles. But on the rougher stuff, when the pavement isn't quite as new and you've got some cracks and you're at lower speeds, below 40 miles an hour, the all-terrain tires combined with the stiffer suspension, it lends to a less than desirable ride quality, and hitting that initial impact with a bump or with a broken piece of pavement is kind of jarring. I took out my 2003 Honda Pilot that has 250,000 or more miles on it, and granted it doesn't have all terrains on it, but it's got worn out suspension and it still seemed to feel a little bit more compliant than this does over broken pavement or bigger potholes, manholes, that sort of thing. Well, stopped for a snack, got an early lunch. Had a full sandwich, chips, and got a gluten-free blueberry muffin to go. So when I get hungry in a couple hours, I will eat that. It's got Nissan's new 3.5-liter V6, dual overhead cam, naturally aspirated. Very, very thankful for a naturally aspirated V6 these days in the world of everything being a 2.0-liter turbocharged 4-cylinder. 295 horsepower and about 280 pound-feet of torque, as long as you put premium fuel in this. If you do go with a lower grade, it lowers that down to about, I think it's about 11 horsepower and 11 pound-feet, in each case there. The engine feels strong. It seems to have plenty of performance. I do really like the sound that it makes. I've always been a fan of V6 sound, even though they're not quite as smooth and sonorous sounding as an inline 6. It has Nissan's new 9-speed automatic transmission. That's an in-house automatic. It is much, much better than having a CVT, I will say that. It is fantastic compared to a CVT. I do love the fact that when you're on the highway at 80 miles an hour, as like I was earlier, the engine's still not even turning 2,000 RPM. It's about 1,900. Downsides are when pulling away from an intersection, or you need to get away from a stop more quickly. And this may not be a transmission issue specifically, but it's a programming, throttle mapping issue where it's really not getting off the line with very much immediacy. After it does start moving, it really, really, really pulls. And because there are so many gears, first gear is super short, so you just rip out of the gate. With the Rock Creek edition and a couple other trims of the Pathfinder, you do have a maximum 6,000 pound towing capacity. The vehicle weighs about 4,500 pounds, which I was pleasantly surprised to see it's fairly light. The vehicle does seat 7 in this configuration. We have the optional rear captain's chairs. On this drive so far today, we have driven about 80 miles, and 80 or 90 miles, and I've averaged 24.1 mpg, average speed of 32 miles per hour. So we've done a lot of around town, sort of very slow driving, but also 70, 80 mile per hour interstate cruising earlier this morning. not too bad, I would say. Very comfortable seats. I've sat in the back a little bit. I've sat in this seat quite a bit, and I do prefer a cloth seat over leather almost any day, and these do a great job. The passenger side seat, I will say, has very minimal adjustment compared to this one. There's no lumbar, there's no height adjustment there, which is a little bit disappointing, but hey, it's you're not at the top of the line trim level yet in the car, so lots of room. I mean, there's lots of cubbies to put things. A lot of cars kind of miss out on that somehow. And I'll demonstrate this one since we just pulled off on our dirt road trail here. The door close sound, top notch. Thud. No extra vibration, no tinny sound at all. Love it. So, cons to this car, as we just pull off the road here and are now driving on what seems to be sort of a combination of dirt and sand. The 9-speed automatic, I have that first on my list, but honestly it is a pretty good automatic. I think the tuning could be adjusted just a little bit, and also some changes with the throttle mapping for when we're pulling away from lights, pulling away from stops would be helpful. But as far as like the smoothness of shifts go, it's pretty good. Shifting from drive to reverse, reverse to park, park to drive, back and forth. If you're not at a perfectly stopped, if you're just even barely still like have some momentum with the car and you try to change to a different gear, it's not happy. It clunks pretty hard. So I would suggest just being extremely easy on it in that sort of situation. The infotainment screen size, definitely disappointed there. And I'm not really one to be a fan of big screens in cars. I think the ones like Ford have started putting in their cars, and GMC, they're getting too big. This Pathfinder sort of mid-grade level screen here is kind of feels a little bit chintzy. I wish, with the amount of real estate they had for the screen, I wish they could have given you a bit wider screen there. Aside from those things, just a couple little things. They're little things that kind of go a long way. The seatbelt warning chime. It's just been me in the car. Put my groceries in the very back, so they weren't in a seat or anything. All other seatbelts were unbuckled, of course, because nobody else was in the car. I buckled mine. The screen in front of the screen in between the dials told me that other seatbelts were unbuckled, but that there wasn't anybody else in the seats. It does that every single time. And as I drove away, it started to chime, like there was an unbuckled seatbelt with someone sitting there. So I unbuckled mine, rebuckled it a couple times. It kept chiming. I tried buckling the passenger side for some. I think I had like my baseball hat in the seat, which weighs a few ounces, and that didn't change it. It still kept chiming there. So, and that happened all the way home from my grocery run, which is about a 5 or 6 minute drive. I was incredibly surprised about that. So the last small thing that does make a difference, though, is every so often when you get out of the car and use the keyless access system to lock the car, tap that little ridged portion on the outside handle, it doesn't do anything. It won't lock. So you have to do it a couple times before it recognizes your finger on that little pad there. So small things, nitpicks, but things like that, especially the seatbelt warning, which has happened to me a few times in this week that I've had the car, kind of making me think, is it a quality control issue? How could that have been okay to leave the factory like that? This road is awesome after you get past the first bit of Painted Rocks Road, which is just 100% washboards. You get onto this, and it's smooth. It's so nice. Really loving these all-terrains. Toyo's open countries. They're doing awesome. I'm not trying to like send it or anything. Obviously very thankful and grateful to Nissan for lending me this, and I could totally see a family coming out and doing this one day. That's what I wanted to do. And as for the stiffer suspension out here, I get it. If it was much softer, I think it would be maybe hitting the bump stops over some of these larger undulations. But this thing is just awesome out here. I love it. I'm pleasantly surprised. That's awesome. Congrats, Nissan. This is a good vehicle, and it's redeemed itself since the last time I drove a Pathfinder, which was a pre-production one, so I can't really complain. I'm not going to talk about that. Yeah, the stiffer suspension definitely makes sense out here. I get it now. It's a little bit firm on the road over some broken pavement and potholes, manhole covers, that sort of thing. But yeah, with the open country all-terrains out here, it totally makes sense. Yes! I love this. So much fun. And when you go over crests like that and you can't see what's in front of you, as long as you're going slow enough, I believe it's about under 6 or 7 miles per hour. Let's just try it right here. Hit the camera button, and you can see surround view, front view. If you hit it again, you can see your tire, which is a really helpful view. And then there's full screen front view. Nissan is a company I want them to stay around. A lot of the cars in their past I've loved, the old first and second gen Pathfinders. I like the Xterra a lot. Every Z model pretty much has been awesome, including the current one. Here's the thing. In capability, it undercuts things like the Pilot Trail Sport, which, because of the Pilot's underbody protection, this doesn't have any of that, so obviously the Pilot is better in that sense. Here, I don't feel like I need it. It undercuts the GMC AT4 series of cars. Those have nicer dampers, but again, those you're almost scratching 60 grand in those. Even the Pilot Trail Sport's 50,000. This is undercutting everything that it competes against in price as well. So this is about $45,000 as spec'd, even with the optional paint colors that are offered. This is still undercutting everything by about $3,000 to $5,000, which, with how it's doing out here, I don't feel like I need anything else. Oh, we get a little bit of mud here. But when you're asked to, pay less than all the other competition, and you're still able to pretty much get out where they're going on trails and things like this, I think it's a solid option. Well done, Nissan. Well, thank you all for spending the day with me today. I am just pretty close here to ending my day trip, and Pathfinder did great. Aside from the couple of little nitpicks I have about this car, it seems to be a pretty good alternative to some of the other off-roadified vehicles, options you have on the market right now. With it undercutting its competition in most every circumstance, I would say it's a pretty good swing by Nissan, especially from what they're having to come back from. So, well done to them. I would recommend it to somebody who maybe likes the Pilot Trail Sport or the Atlas Peak Edition, but maybe doesn't want to have to pay $50,000 plus for an off-roadified 7-seater. And with that, one last V6 pull. Yeah. That's fun, that's good. I like the short gears.